Tonight on CTV News, the cold Canterbury weather isn't enough to stop wildfires. The co-author of the Nobel Peace Prize has a warning on climate change, and a controversial alcohol bylaw is one step closer.
Broadcasting across Canterbury from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
And welcome to CTV News, streaming live at ctv.co.nz. And we begin tonight with some breaking news. Police have announced the body of Murray Taylor has now been recovered. He was buried when nearly over 1,000 tonnes of limestone fell on him on Monday. Taylor, who owns the excavation business, has since been identified by WorkSafe as having worked illegally by operating without a certificate of compliance. The recovery over the last 3 days utilised 2 bulldozers and a 40-tonne excavator to remove nearly or just over 1,000 tonnes of rock and debris from the collapsed area. Police are now reporting the death has been referred to the coroner. Well, despite the colder days upon us, a bushfire sparked a massive call-out last night in North Canterbury. Locals say the wildfire shows just how dry the region continues to be despite the wintry conditions.
Wintertime has made little difference to preventing a large 80-hectare wildfire burning through the night in North Canterbury. The area has still not recovered from drought conditions, and yesterday's scrub fire was easily fanned by strong winds. Fire authorities are still investigating the cause of the blaze, which funneled thick smoke to Cheviot and local properties. But they say the fire, which started burning just after 4 p.m. on a remote land between Cheviot and Rotherham, could have been easily sparked by power tools. As the fire started just before dark, fire authorities decided to let the fire burn through the night due to safety concerns and the steep terrain of the fire area. Today's cooler, calmer conditions and about 4 millimetres of rain helped to ease the fire, which died out overnight. Crews and a helicopter remained on site today to dampen hotspots.
Well, the paper he co-authored on climate change received the Nobel Peace Prize, and Dr. Jim Salinger was in town this week to highlight just how fragile our ecosystem is due to what he says are the ongoing effects of climate change.
Celebrated climate change scientist Dr. Jim Salinger spoke about the disadvantages of living in a warmer world last night in Christchurch. Dr. Salinger has been involved in research and analysis of climate variation and its impacts for over 35 years. He contributed to the reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. The reports suggested that climate change is fast accelerating, and Salinger says it's only getting worse.
Well, if you look at New Zealand temperatures, and Christchurch is much the same, we're a degree warmer than we were 100 years ago. There's probably 20 less winter frosts a year than there was 100 years ago. If we look at New Zealand glaciers, there's a third less ice up there compared with 1976, and probably only a fifth of what we had in the 1890s.
He believes that there is strength in numbers and that if everyone can make a small change, it would really make a huge difference.
Well, there's a number of things. The first thing is obviously to lobby and get out on marches, because it's public opinion that changes governments. But in terms of human behaviour, you go to things where Christchurch is ideal. It's a cycling city, have more of that. Energy efficiency in the home, and pressing the government and local bodies for electrification of the car fleet.
Salinger encourages people to be leaders in the change towards minimising human-made fossil fuel emissions. He edited a book on climate change in 2013, bringing together the world's leading scientists to describe how a hotter planet is affecting our food supplies, fisheries and agriculture, access to fresh water and public health. Living in a Warmer World analyses how climate change may affect us if the world grew to be 4 degrees warmer. But what would this mean for Christchurch in particular?
Firstly, if it warms 4 degrees, there's going to be not much ice left in the Southern Alps. It'll still be there, you'll still be able to see it, particularly in the Mount Cook National Park, but you have to go higher. There'll be wildlife extinctions in the alpine areas. Agriculture will change dramatically. With that amount of warming, kiwi fruit will be possible in Canterbury, but as against it, you might be changing from wheat crops to things that require more warmth like maize, and of course in a warmer climate you get more pests and diseases.
However, New Zealand won't be affected immediately, but there is still reason to be alarmed.
We're a bit further down the track, but we will certainly be affected. We're already seeing things happening now. I've talked about the glaciers. What's interesting is the spread of subtropical grasses down the North Island of New Zealand, because we've lost the number of frosts a year. So if you went in a time bubble back to 1930 and looked at now, some things are already happening.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
A driver who allegedly ran over a man and his dog last year in November in a road rage incident has appeared in court.
A man at the centre of a rural road rage incident last year may not be fit to stand trial due to psychological problems. Andrew George McDaniel appeared at the Christchurch District Court today, where he was remanded for a second psychiatric report. McDaniel, a North Canterbury property developer, faces charges of injuring a man with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and willful ill treatment of a dog. The incident occurred last November when a family and their puppy were walking near Eyre River near Ayrton. Police allege McDaniel drove past the family in his four-wheel drive and was waved by the father to slow down. McDaniel then did a series of U-turns and passes in the vehicle, chasing the man through a barbed wire fence before running him over and causing injuries to his ankle, back and shoulder. The puppy was also run over and had to be euthanised because of its injuries. McDaniel also faces charges of assault, driving with excess breath alcohol and careless driving from a November 2014 incident. He has been remanded for psychiatric observation after appearing in court earlier this year and will front court again in 2 weeks' time.
And just repeating our breaking news tonight, we can report that the body of Murray Taylor, who was buried when 1,000 tonnes of limestone fell on him, that body, we understand, has now been recovered. Well, still to come here on CTV News, more school kids are out and about, this time cross country. Welcome back to CTV News, streaming live at ctv.co.nz. Well, it's thought to be the biggest ever livestock export from New Zealand, and it's leaving from Port Timaru tomorrow. Today, the NADA started boarding over 50,000 sheep and over 3,000 cattle bound for Mexico for breeding purposes. The journey is expected to take about 2 weeks and has raised concerns for the animals' welfare during that time. Now, New Zealand stopped exporting livestock for slaughter, at least, in 2007. Well, nearly 1,500 young Canterbury runners took to the field today to compete in this year's cross-country event, and organisers say it's becoming more and more competitive every year and even high-tech as well. Here's Jared McCulloch.
Clear skies and a clear focus for these young Cantabrians taking up the region's cross-country challenge. The students have already participated in their school and zone events, with the top runners moving on to the next stage. And now over 1,000 primary school pupils turned out for the event here at Hallswell Quarry Park, with around 160 schools travelling from all over the province to hopefully make it to the regionals. The intermediate schools competed today as well, with close to 400 pupils from 11 schools attending. And the event's sports director says she's been run off her feet.
Just a little bit.
Lynn Miles has been organising this event for nearly 20 years and says it's come a long way from when it first started, saying it's grown into a very competitive sport.
I think the children are faster now and also take it more seriously than what they used to, because we didn't used to have the representative teams at the end of it, of course.
And they've gone high-tech too. The stopwatch now put aside and replaced with an automatic timing system, making life a lot easier for Miles and the students.
Now we've got active timing that do the timing for us, so the timing chips are in their numbers and it just automatically records everything, which means, results will be out very quickly.
Only a certain number of these keen runners will make it through to the next round to represent Canterbury in the regional finals, and she says they can't take any more competitors this time round, saying they're maxed out.
We've changed the systems and we actually have to limit the numbers. Otherwise, we can't cope with it in a day. The top 10 automatically qualify today, and with the year 7 and 8, the top 20 will run against the top 20 from this afternoon's races from the intermediates.
It's a long process, but Miles believes it's still a very popular event and a great way to keep the young Kiwis fit and well.
Getting the children out active, and that's what recently you will have seen how Canterbury has the most activity with, and it's probably because of that the schools will get behind it.
So it's not just a run around the reserve.
Yes, it is serious, and they do take it seriously too. It gives them something to aim for. You know, at the end of it, even though these might be more of the elite, it's still the process that they go through. Everybody's involved.
And one of the parents from Lincoln Primary School says it's a great sport for the youngsters.
I think it's really important for the kids. It teaches them that, it's okay to compete, it's okay to push yourself as well and run as hard as you can. And I know that with our children, we trained them solidly for a month. Pretty much every day we were doing something, and, it's just good to see them come here and give it everything they have and compete with other children their own age.
If it's not the children taking it seriously, it's the parents.
CTV News were filming when the Year 5 boys and girls were taking on the long-distance venture. So, how did they get on?
What was the best part of it?
The end.
Because you finished.
It was easier than I thought. I thought that would be a lot longer.
So how far did you guys have to run?
2 kilometres.
And do you think that was enough?
Yeah, definitely.
And it was a bit like a treasure hunt for one of them.
My shoe getting stuck in the mud.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What'd you do? Where is it now? It's gone. You don't even have it. Where is it? Still on the track, is it?
Yeah.
So you have to go back and get it now. Oh.
The next stage isn't until September, but the top Canterbury superstars will continue training before they head to Blenheim and take on the country's best. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
Christchurch City's new alcohol bylaw is one step closer to becoming a reality, and there are only a few more weeks left for the industry to reject the controversial new plan.
People have 4 weeks to oppose on Christchurch's new liquor proposals. The City Council's draft alcohol policy is in its final stages of being formalised, with appeals now open until the 7th of July. The policy includes restricting trading hours for off-licence premises, such as bottle stores and supermarkets, to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It wants to impose 1 a.m. closing times on pubs, taverns and unlicensed restaurants and cafes in suburban centres. In parts of the central city, bars and pubs will be allowed to stay open until 3 a.m, but might be subject to a discretionary one-way door policy. Nightclubs in the central city entertainment zone will be able to stay open till 4 a.m. The Waimakariri District Council enacted its alcohol policy last month, imposing the strictest alcohol bylaws in the country.
All right, forget cash-strapped Christchurch. There's no sign of it in our next story. The sale of luxury cars continues to rise, and so too does the membership of classic car clubs as well. Chelsea Daniels has this.
This afternoon in Christchurch, the Canterbury Car Club revved their engines and took their cars out for a spin. 19 of the members attended today, bringing with them their favourite toys. Makes ranged from Holden to Porsche. The boys got a chance to push their cars to the limit, some reaching up to 240 kilometres an hour in a safe and controlled environment.
Yeah, I think the thing is that they bought some pretty special cars, and they do go fast. And realistically, I think we're probably quite responsible on roads versus 20 years ago. So this is an opportunity to, in a safe environment, but to put their foot down flat. So I think that's the opportunity to really give their car a bit of a workout on the track in a safe atmosphere.
Christchurch Casino Chief Executive Brett Anderson said that the club has seen bigger numbers in more recent years. Brett has been a member of the car club for 3 years and said that it's a really good opportunity for the guys to learn more about their cars.
Obviously, you're not breaking any laws by doing it out here. And I mean, it's the little things that you take for granted. I mean, braking at high speed, or if the back end slips away, you learn how to rectify it in a safe, controlled environment.
It was a great day for the guys to get out from behind their desk.
This is the first time we've got this group together. Sort of one of those things, you have various meetings. Most people are business people in town. You get together and then you have a conversation. You find out someone's got something in their garage, and then the smiles start. And right, yeah, there's a passion, and let's get out there, let's organise it. So it's taken a while, but won't be the last.
We even got a chance to take the passenger seat in a Ford Mustang. Considering the passion on display today, other events are likely to follow. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
I think Chelsea's having far too much fun. Well, still to come here on CTV News, the Crusaders get in more training and, of course, the all-important regional weather forecast. Welcome back to CTV News. If you have a local story you think our newsroom needs to know about, why not email the newsroom right now? The email address is news@ctv.co.nz, and of course this broadcast repeats at 6:30 and 9:30 p.m. every weeknight on CTV, and of course we're now streaming live right now at ctv.co.nz. To some sports news now, and going against the grain, while many Canterbury rugby players are heading overseas, Wyatt Crockett has signed up for another 3 years, staying with the franchise. Gordon Finlater has the story.
For the first time since 2001, the Crusaders won't be part of the Super Rugby playoffs, with the side having no chance of making the top 6 going into their last game this weekend. With their fate already decided, their attention can now turn to sending off a number of senior players who are heading overseas or retiring.
There's still plenty of motivation for us. It's just a different motivation. I think pride's probably the biggest one. Team pride and also personal pride for some of our individuals. We're also sending off some of the legends of the game that have worn the Crusader jersey and represented so well over the years. So it's important that we send them out in style and finish tight as a group.
Assistant coach Aaron Major is one of those bound for the Northern Hemisphere, moving to Leicester next month to take up a head coaching role. While he's sure many of the franchise's stars will find their final days emotional, he's confident the franchise can continue to succeed in the future.
Yeah, probably when boys are packing up their boots and packing up the change room, and for myself packing up my desk, it might get a little bit sad. But there's some great people here, and the place is in good hands. So I'm sure that we all leave, and we're pretty sure that this place is going to be strong for years to come.
One senior player bucking the trend is tight head prop Wyatt Crockett, with the 32-year-old signing on with the Crusaders and New Zealand Rugby through until 2018. With the team entering a new saga next season, Major knows how important the likes of Crockett are to continuing the team's legacy.
You can certainly build a team around one guy like that. He epitomises all the values off the field, and he gives everything on the field that you want to see in a Crusader man. So it's fantastic news for the whole organisation that he's going to be a part of it for a few more years.
Having come up through the ranks at the Crusaders, Crockett is well aware of the guidance role in being a senior player.
Yeah, it's huge. You know, when I came through, there was guys certainly showing me the way, and I think back to the likes of Corey Flynn and Ruben Thorne and those guys, and even in my first year with Andrew Murdens, he was a good man to have around and made me feel really welcome. So I guess that's part of it as well, making guys feel welcome.
With the lure of overseas dollar taking a chunk of senior players offshore, loyalty like Crockett's is hard to find in this day and age. He's just looking forward to his dream, though, of finishing his career in red and black.
I'm still just living my dream. I still love it as much as I did when I first started, and to be able to stay in one franchise the whole time and play out my career here is a great opportunity.
Gordon Finlater, CTV Sport.
And now Jared is here with the all-important regional forecast.
Good evening, Canterbury. Mainly fine skies throughout the region today with some gale force winds inland and some scattered rain as well. But let's take a look at today's highs. 11 degrees for Twizel today. Everyone else here mid-teens, and Timaru on 15 degrees. As we go to the Plains area now, there was a lot of the same number here for all of you, 16 degrees. Apart from Methven, slightly cooler today on just 14 degrees with some light cloud here and there as well. Further north, 15 was on the cards for most places here, apart for Culverden on 13 degrees and Rangiora, you are on 16 degrees today. And if we take a look into the Alpine region, Arthur's Pass was the warmest place today, 14 degrees for you. Right, let's look ahead now, shall we, for the major centres. Timaru tomorrow will be slightly cooler than today, 9 degrees will be your high with some southwesterly winds and some cloudy skies here and there as well. Ashburn, and similar picture for you. You'll be much warmer though, slightly, 10 degrees for you with some cloudy skies and southwesterly winds. Christchurch, pretty much copycat of Ashburn tomorrow. Again, cloudy skies, southwesterly winds. You start off with 1 degree and then 10 degrees will be your high. But Kaikoura is the place to be in the major cities for the highest on 12 with some southwesterly winds and cloudy skies here and there. Checking out tomorrow's temperatures for the rest of the region now. Twizel starts off on -2, so make sure you wrap up warm with some southwesterly winds for all the places here. Leeston is the place to be in mid-Canterbury, 15 degrees. You'll have those northwesterly winds. Everywhere else will be southwesterly coming through in the early teens as well. Further north now in North Canterbury, 10, 11 is the numbers here tomorrow as your high with some southwesterly winds. Rangiora day, you'll have some fine skies throughout the day. And we'll take a look into the Alpine region now. Although Arthur's Pass is sunny on 11, Lake Tekapo starts out on -3. Let's take up the upcoming days now for the major centres. Mostly cloudy skies for Timaru, Ashburn and Kaikoura. Christchurch though, you have some showers here and there and there'll be some northwesterly winds. Flipping over now though, there'll be some showers here and there for Timaru, Ashburn and Christchurch. The warmest place on Saturday will be Kaikoura, 14 degrees. And for the rest of the region now, mostly cloudy skies for everyone, northwesterly winds as well as we go all the way up the region, except at the top there those winds will change to westerly winds, but those cloudy skies. As for Saturday, that's going to change just a wee bit though. Bit of a mixed bag here and there. There'll be some showers at the bottom with some southwesterly winds, then some clearing skies through the middle here, and then those showers come all the way through as well, and southwesterlies will end your day. Now make sure you wrap up warm for tomorrow when you head to work or for whatever you're doing, because it'll be much cooler than it was today. But for now, that is your weather for Wednesday.
Thanks, Jared, and that is CTV News for Wednesday. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.